Hello, my name is Carroll Golden, and I'm the Executive Director of the NAFA Limited and Extended Care Planning Center. Today, my guest is Jeff Stinson. In 2013, after being in the business for some years, Jeff formed his own firm, the Stinson Law Firm, and he's dedicated his legal practice to serving the elderly and the disabled, working in the areas of elder law and special needs, including estate planning, long-term care planning, Medicaid planning, Veterans Affairs benefits planning, guardianships, and estate administration. Jeff has maintained that focus throughout his career, and it has been a stellar career. He is a member of the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, NAELA, NAELA, and is admitted to the Indiana State Bar Association. Since 2010, Jeff has been named as one of the state's rising superstars in Super Lawyer magazine. In 2018, Jeff was named as one of the state's super lawyers in the area of elder law. With many accolades to his name, let's move on to asking Jeff for some insights. So Jeff, to begin with, what's the difference between an estate planning attorney and an elder law attorney?
Well, while an estate planning attorney typically focuses on family dynamics of protecting assets from tax, as well as protecting inheritances from family members themselves, as well as setting up plans for what happens if I'm unable to take care of my finances myself, or unable to make medical decisions myself. An elder law attorney, that's kind of one segment. You kind of, in your introduction, you kind of went through the umbrella of services that an elder law attorney typically does. We focus more on situations than tasks at hand. So our focus is typically on legal issues that affect seniors, primarily around the issue of obtaining quality or affording quality long-term care. So whereas a estate planning attorney may be helping to plan for what happens if I'm incapacitated or I die, we're taking that a little step further, and we're planning for what happens if I need long-term care. How do I protect assets? How do I afford quality care? And so that's kind of the crux of what we do. It's more of a situational type practice versus a task-oriented practice.
So why would our members need to know an elder law attorney?
Well, that's a great question, because what I found is elder law attorneys and financial planners in many respects are trying to meet the same goals for their clients. We're both trying to maximize the use of family resources for family purposes. And I found there can be a lot of synergy between our practices. Together we can add mutual value to each other's practices and for each other's clients. Long-term care has really become the single biggest expense to jeopardize a family's savings. So more so than estate tax or the other traditional reasons folks used to plan. So for clients who come to see me early in the process, they're worried about how is long-term care costs going to affect their future wealth. Financial planners and I are able to work together that we both propose solutions to meet those needs. And we can look at what are the goals, and why the financial advisor can come from the aspect of how do we put in a financial plan to meet those goals and maybe suggest different products. I can suggest legal strategies to kind of meet the same goals. So we kind of maximize our value together to the client. And of course, for those that are in crisis, I'll say from my perspective, there really isn't anything more rewarding than helping a client avoid getting completely wiped out because they have a sudden long-term care need. I always like to tell this story of I was working with a trial lawyer attorney at one time. He was a friend of mine. We had a mutual client, and for some reason, the father didn't understand why he couldn't just spend his son's inheritance on himself. And so when I kindly informed him that wasn't possible, he was going to do all sorts of vile things to me. So I called up my trial lawyer attorney or trial lawyer friend, and I said, I don't need this. I've got plenty of other work. I don't need somebody. And he said, well, Jeff, what's the problem? I said, what do you mean, what's the problem? He just threatened me. And he's the trial lawyer friend says, well, it happens to me all the time. And I said, well, I'm not used to this. I get hugs from my clients when I complete a project, not threats. So my point being, people remember, they're great. They're grateful for the services that I can do, and they're going to remember that relationship. I've seen a lot of, the second generation switch advisors because they were so grateful that mom and dad's advisor connected them with me or another elder law attorney. So, in that respect, it's just good business to know someone in this area. Another way I would approach it. Yeah,
sorry, Jeff. I was going to say, in that case, how do you go about choosing an elder care attorney?
Well, you probably want to start with credentials. Most attorneys can join a professional association. We mentioned NALA, the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, which I'm a member. I'm also a member of the Elder Law section of the state bar. Now, anyone can join those organizations. So I would recommend going a little bit past that. Look beyond the just joining and see how active they are in the organizations. Have they served in a leadership capacity? Are they an officer or a board member? Or, have they written articles for the organization, or have they presented CLEs? And beyond that, look for folks that have an elder law specialist designation. An attorney who has been certified as an elder law attorney, CELA are the magic letters there, by the National Elder Law Foundation, is one that's been tested in the elder law practice area. So we've taken a test, we have been reviewed by peers, and that's a substantial part of our practice. So that's another good place to look for folks. But I wouldn't just end with credentials. Once you find somebody, have lunch with them, take them out for coffee, interview them, make sure your philosophies match, your personalities match. And I also say, I've had a lot of financial planners that, with their client's consent, of course, will come to the first couple of meetings with their client, because that gives an opportunity to not only know more about the substance of what the elder law attorney does, but also kind of how that person goes about their business to make sure it's a good fit. So.
I see. So how important, though, is it really to know an elder care attorney? Elder law attorney.
Elder law, elder care. They're kind of synonymous terms. Folks are getting older, and the point I make here is, I've actually had a lot of financial planners who become in connection with each other who tell me, I am so glad to know you because my clients are getting older and I just don't know what to do with them when some of these situations arise. So I'm so glad to be able to know you. And if your colleagues are out there making these associations and developing these relationships, you want to do the same or you're going to fall behind.
So how have you been able to augment the practice of financial planners with whom you've worked?
Well, beyond establishing a solid referral relationship, I've done a lot of joint seminars with financial planners that kind of open opportunities up for both of us. We can kind of talk about how each of our practices can help folks, and by kind of that joint marketing, it adds value and kind of sets yourself apart from maybe somebody else that's doing similar seminars but not on a joint basis.
So, it's important, obviously, to have this relationship. When is it a good idea to actually take the time and make the effort to start into a relationship with an elder law attorney?
All right, I'm going to give you a lawyer answer to that. I'll say it depends. And I say it depends because, I work with a lot of younger folks that have small children that need to plan just because they have small children. What happens if they become incapacitated or they pass? Who's going to take care of the family? So as an elder law attorney, maybe they're not worried about long-term care that most of my clients would, but I'm still working with that generation to help plan. And of course, my goal is that maybe I'm developing a relationship that's going to last a lifetime here. But I guess I'll say in general though, I think most individuals should really get serious about starting a relationship with an elder law attorney, maybe in their 50s. Um, and I say 50s because that's generally you're thinking about retirement. You want to make sure that you have plenty of time to plan for long-term care. That process does take time, and that opens up a lot of different strategies, things that you can do. Um, and hopefully, I want to, I guess I want to stress that that is a relationship you're starting, because you pick somebody you like and that you work well with, because this is someone that you want to keep coming back to through the rest of your life. Because as you age, or in particular as circumstances change, you want to be able to come back to that person, because you're going to need to modify your plan accordingly as those circumstances do change.
You know, you mentioned, though, working with the disabled and being a specialist in extended and long-term care. I'm always surprised at the statistics that tell us how many of the disabled and people who are needing that kind of planning, frankly, some of them are not old at all. You never know when a disability may pop up. And look at what's happening with COVID-19. Some people, it's going to take them, if they were unfortunate enough to catch this horrible thing, it's going to take them quite a while to recover. So in that case, as an agent, no matter what kind of agent you are, and you now know that your client has this need, I think it would be a good idea to have a relationship with an elder law attorney, because, you know, you just never know. Who thought this was going to happen to us as a nation, or globally, actually? So is there anything else that you would want our NAFA members to know?
Well, you bring up an excellent point. It is kind of a battle I fight sometimes, in that because I'm an elder law attorney, folks think that I work with old people, or I've had the opposite. Actually, I meet with folks and said, "You're not old at all. How are you an elder law attorney?" And that's a label, trying to label on something we do. But most elder law attorneys will not work with just the aged. We actually work with a lot of disabled individuals.
Right.
My practice, generally we call that special needs law, but to try to create some sort of distinction there between elder law, but we're often doing a lot of the same things. It's just a different population. So, I might be working with someone who's disabled and has received a windfall, and there's actually areas of Medicaid and Social Security law that allows people that are disabled and receive a windfall to get an extra benefit from that. They're allowed to keep that and qualify for public benefits, but they have to have a plan in place. Or
Right.
I work with a lot of families who have special needs children, and they just want to plan for what happens to my child when me, who's been the primary caregiver, advocate, all of those things what happens when I'm not there? Who's going to take care of them financially, personally? What legal authority those folks that team going to need, and what are the precise instructions that they need? So,
Yeah.
that's another area that I also work. And, if one of your members is being introduced to an elder law attorney, establishing a relationship, there's likely that aspect. They'll have clients that have that need, will be so thankful that they can have that referral and that relationship they can establish as well.
Well, you know, Jeff, I think that lets us know that as professionals, especially I have found that NAFA members are very caring about their clients. And so for that reason, we thank you for your time today, and we hope that our members will be able to benefit from the opportunity to say, this is what they do, and this is how I can choose one, and this is how I can form my relationship, because you never know, right?
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Carol. It's been a pleasure. And maybe I look forward to any other help I can give the organization in the future.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
You too.